Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? Back with another live stream. How are you all doing? Right, we have 6 people. Hello, everybody. In the waiting room. Oh, this is lovely. This is grand. So, hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new live stream about Project Fred. I've been covering this on our channel before, like a few years ago. But there is some amazing news when it comes to the project, and as you can see, I'm not alone.
Hello! I'm the stranger who's just popped up.
I'm here with a very special lady, Francis. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. I was
Welcome.
actually quite surprised when you invited me on because I never expected it, but there we go.
Really nice, really nice. So yeah, why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do in YouTube? Please.
Yes, of course, Jamie. I'm SezFrancis, but Jamie calls me Francis, so I don't mind. So if you want to call me Sez, or Francis, that's absolutely fine. I am a content creator, so I have 2 YouTube channels. I do one channel that I do content creating on autism and epilepsy, and then another, as Jamie has tagged in the description box, I run a history channel called History Inside a Nutshell, and basically I cover all maritime history such as the Titanic, the Lusitania, Britannic, and many, many more. But I'm also going to do a few projects on the royal coronation and the British royal family because it's the upcoming coronation. And
Oh yes.
I'm I'm a big history
Oh
nerd
yes.
when it comes to the Titanic, especially with Frederick Fleet. I've always admired his story, so to be here today is an absolute pleasure.
Well, it's a really an honor having you here with us today. So yes, like I said, we are talking about Project Fred. Oh no! Wait 1 second. I have so many buttons. There we go. There we go. We're talking about Project Fred. If I can get things sometimes go wrong with streams. There we go. We're talking about Project Fred, which is basically a story about Frederick Fleet, the man who was in the crow's nest and who basically said iceberg right ahead. Of course, I've been covering this on my channel, like quick short video. But since then, a lot has happened to this project, which I will quickly show you for the people who don't know basically what this upcoming short movie is. I have a trailer right here, and it should work with sound. I've tested it before, but you never know how these things go. But
You
I
just can't
will.
rely on technology, can you, Jamie?
Yeah, it's like technology is the best friend to man, but at the same time, it's disgusting sometimes. We
Oh,
have a few people in the chat from your Discord, Francis. We have Wallace Hartley,
hello,
and
Wallace.
we have Dustin Kruger.
Hi,
Welcome,
DK.
guys. And Blue Starline. Hello, Blue Starline. Thank you so much for joining. My dad is also in the chat.
We see your dad. Hi, Jamie. Dad. Your
um,
head is visible for only half the part. Oh, look out there, Jamie.
um, it's. I have a bad camera. I'm getting an upgrade, but for now, it is what it is. So, right here we have the trailer. Here it is. Yes. So it should work.
Yeah, the audio's working. But
So basically, this was a Kickstart trailer to the project. Now, this again, Kickstart the Kickstart started in 2022.
That was a bit of a shock.
Yeah. But sadly, it didn't go well with the Kickstart. They didn't achieve the funding that they wanted to have. So sadly, it didn't work at the end. So the project was kind of closed for a while because, of course, it needed to get the proper funding. But now they're back, and they're back better than ever. So, Francis, how did you get to know about the project?
Well, it was for you, of course, Jamie. Who else?
The source.
But I know that I really admire Frederick Fleet's story, and also as a maritime historian as well, I've been looking into cases of many Titanic stories, and I have been in contact with many descendants as
Mm,
well and
yeah.
historians. But Frederick Fleet is one of the cases where it just hooks onto me, especially since I'm currently working on a research project about the connection between the Titanic disaster and
Mm,
PTSD, because that's what really affected Frederick Fleet all through his life from the disaster up until the day he died.
yeah.
So it's a really big thing to have a look at and to have like some focus on it. And then also was trying to find more information about him, and I did try to find his gravesite in Southampton when I traveled there last year.
Oh, you
Unfortunately,
did?
I didn't spot it, unfortunately. I tried.
Oh,
Yeah, because I know that the Titanic Society, I don't know if it was the American one or the British one, but
yeah.
they erected a headstone for him back in the late 90s, I think.
Oh,
But I was
no.
trying to find that, but couldn't find it. So
Yeah.
yeah, never mind.
Wow. Okay. So basically, what this story will bring us, I have a link right here to their Kickstart page when it was up, of course. But it basically gets a story of what we can expect from the Fred series. So we basically start in 1965 in Southampton. We meet Fred, a solemn man in his late 70s. From the off, we see Fred burying his late wife Eva. With no friends and little family, he lives with his brother-in-law Philip, who today tells Fred that he has to move out. Philip, an eerie, unlikable character, makes it clear Fred is no longer welcome at the house, with his looming rejection only days away. Fred is thrust back into a state of constant flashback and unwanted memories. Sorry. Through these flashbacks, we learn Fred was a lookout, of course, as we all know, on board the RMS Titanic, and the first to spot the iceberg that fatally struck. Memories from that night and the chaotic aftermath trigger a severe mental illness in Fred, PTSD. Pushing these thoughts into the back of his mind, Fred makes one last attempt to rekindle an estranged relationships with his daughter, Dorothy, with a husband who works for long hours, two young children, and managing a bossy house. She doesn't hide the fact she has little time for her father. Fred exchanges pleasantries for a short while before realizing he's outstayed his welcome. He says his goodbyes and makes a quick getaway. The film culminates with Fred's flashbacks and persisting trauma growing stronger and more vivid by the hour, finally forcing Fred to the point of no return and him making a devastating, sad decision. So, hearing this, of course, it's quite sad. You know, this is not a documentary which is supposed to bring happiness. This is quite a sad thing to reality. So, what do you think, Francis, after hearing that?
Well, I definitely think that they were trying to get in with the story. Now, if anyone has seen like documentary films or non-fiction films that's based on real events, then it's kind of like that. We know what is happening, but we never get the in-depth of it,
No.
really. And basically, from what the synopsis shows, it is absolutely true, because Frederick's wife, Eva, she did die, and he got evicted by his brother-in-law, which
Yeah.
I still think is the cruelest thing ever that could happen, especially for someone who is in their 70s and got no family and got no places to go. And Frederick's been trying to, because from what I've read and heard, Eva was kind of like a support blanket as well as his best friend.
Yeah.
And and it's like it was all taken away really by the people that were around him and the events that followed and then before, and then he couldn't really get out of. And reading his testimony as well and hearing about like what happened when he puts his evidence on the British inquiry, it was really, really clear to see how like tense it was in that hearing. And you can really see that he still had the early stages of PTSD, and it would never ever go away throughout his whole life. And it's kind of like he's going through like a state of depression, trying to read
Yeah.
kids on the fence. And as we all know, in the end, he hands himself in the back garden, his brother-in-law's back garden, which was the house, but it was owned by Philip. And
Mm.
that was just it. That's what happened, and it's just such a tragic story. And I liked how they actually kept in depth with that
Mm.
story. So I definitely think they were trying to make it true, but they were trying to have like a connection with the character, because you've got to think now that there's no living survivors of the Titanic anymore.
Mm.
And I don't know if Frederick ever had descendants, but it's likely not. But I could be wrong. But it's just one of those things that really hits you hard, and you feel that character. You
Yeah.
understand the character, but you want to know what this character is feeling, even
Yeah.
though they have died, like say nearly 60 years ago or
Mm.
something. But it's a very powerful connection that they were trying to put, especially so young as well during the Titanic disaster. Frederick was about 24, I believe, when the Titanic went down.
Yeah.
So it was really, really devastating to have developed PTSD from a tragic event at such a young age. And then
Yeah.
that just never faded away, really. And that's probably how you can imagine that these kind of events did happen to a young person. And then it all carries up all the way to the 70s and never having got over that as well. I just still think it is tragic, and they were trying to show the tragedy in that movie, which was
Mm.
great. Really, really great stuff.
Yeah. I also think, because of course PTSD, we all know PTSD, from more familiar because of war stories with soldiers. And in these days, when somebody has PTSD, he could go to a doctor, he could tell his feelings, his thoughts, he could actually speak his mind, he could unleash all the trauma inside of him. But we got to think, in 1912, in the early 90s, and even in 1967, it's not that well known, PTSD. So all these people which actually have PTSD, they have all those thoughts like in their head, and there's nobody actually to help them bring it out, all the emotion. So it's very sad in one way.
Oh yeah.
Six. Oh, sorry. No, please go
No,
ahead.
no, no, I was just like wondering really, because I wanted to make a little bit of an example as well. I know it's not
Yeah.
Frederick, but Eva Hart is another example of this.
Yeah.
She didn't have therapy or counseling until 1980s, when she was about like 70 or 80, when she got over that. But one of the biggest things that she had for PTSD was weeks after the disaster. She heard "Nearer My God to Thee" in the church, and she had to run out straight.
Yeah.
She had nightmares for years until she
Remember.
had counseling, which was so devastating. But I thought she was really lucky to have it. But with someone like Frederick,
Nobody
you
to talk to, and then Eva, of course, dying as well.
yeah, that's it. And it's just awful really that he never got help for that.
No, also because maybe he must have talked to his wife Eva about the thoughts he was having, right, and stuff like that. And when you lose your connection to that help, to that anchor, when it falls away and you're not welcome anywhere, it's quite tragic.
Mm,
Um, so I also got some more information about the project, um, from the actual promoter of Project Fred. Her name is Miss Gina. Very nice lady. So Gina, if you're watching this, thank you for all your help and what you do. So she says, Fred is undoubtedly a sad story, but one we've always hoped can shed light on the harsh realities undealt with trauma can have. Even though someone who is 77 years old and nearing the end of their life. When writing Fred, we always knew that the end had a shocking finality. My words, and it wasn't down to our creative hands, but a truth. Unfortunately, our lead character fell upon many years ago. The skill for us as storytellers were to approach this in our own unique way, being constantly inspired by dynamic cinema. Films like The Witch, Saint Maud, The Lobster. We wanted to bring an abstract, slightly off-killer feeling to the writing. On the surface, Fred's story is a drama and honest and empathetic, biopic, but adding an element of horror and delusion, which we always felt like the persist way in portraying his PTSD, excited us as writers. These things people have in their heads daily is seldom simple. It's hazy, odd, twisted, alarming, and surreal. That's exactly how we visioned our script. So that's basically more about the project. So, like I said, the trailer that we saw, that was the Kickstart trailer. So sadly, again, it got stopped, but they got the funds to finish the project, and they actually have stopped filming. They are now in post production, and yes, we have some pictures I want to show you. So
Oh, this is going to be really good. A good sneak.
yeah.
Excited!
So this is the man right here who will play the older Fred. So this is also sadly the man who will die in the story.
Mm.
But this is something very exciting. I love the actor, how he picked the actor, because this man, if you look at this picture, he has a kind of rusty old seaman look to him.
I mean, he does look like, I'm not actually looking at it, but he does look like the older man. You can really see that the actor who plays him is kind of like really in a solemn kind of confusional daze, and that looks really, really spectacular. I know I can't remember at the top of my head the actors' names, but that it just looks so brilliant actually, and so wonderfully done as well. Like he's like thing, and it just shows you what potential this actor really has for playing the older Fred right there.
And we got to remember, this film is exactly 5 minutes long, I've been told. I hope it will be more. I hope it really will be more. But from what I have heard, it's 5 minutes.
So really, really short then.
Yeah, it will be like a few minutes, and then. But the pictures we're about to see, it's for the 5 minutes we are getting, it's like top notch quality. It's crazy how good it is. Wallace Hartley is also very exciting to see it. I think we all are. So the trailer, there will be another trailer, and that will exactly release in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks. Might be sooner, I hope, but it will be 2 weeks. And this is actually, I think it was one of the sets. So this is one of the bigger sets which shall take place in the movie. This will be in the movie The House of Fred, where, of course, we will see his PTSD attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it looks like an actual lovely house, and kind of like the ones that you will see in like England. And I know I've been to Southampton last year, and these are kind of like the houses that used to stand there, but they aren't anymore because some of them have been knocked down and rebuilt
Mm,
into houses. But this is the kind of house that you would see in the 1960s and even earlier than that, because Southampton wasn't an actual city until later, probably after the Titanic disaster. I just
yeah.
don't really know. But I think they really, really used that as a good cottage. Oh, I would say that's they used a really good background in the book house. That's it. That's it. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah. No, wait, your English is way better than me, so don't stress if you say something wrong.
My English is all over the place. Even though I live in the UK, my English is a little bit mumbly jumbled every now and again. So I apologise.
No worries. This is actually the Fred. Now here I go. This is actually the house Fred also lived in 1965.
I
And
mean, it's lovely, lovely house,
yeah,
and I definitely think it just brings so many opportunities there, I think, because
mm,
you're living in that moment. And I know that in Southampton they wouldn't use these houses anymore. They would have
no,
like used like tiny houses that are all cramped together. And most of the houses now they have blue plaques
yeah,
commemorating the person who died. But with Frederick Fleet's house, from what I see, it hasn't had anything like that. So
no,
I never managed to find Frederick Fleet's house really, whether it's further away in Southampton or just like a little bit out, I don't know. So
yeah, 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 yeah.
anything could have like happened really, and there could be a blue plaque somewhere. You just never know.
Indeed. Wallace Hartley says it will be short but touching, and that's exactly the point I think that will come across. Short but touching.
Oh
Because
yeah.
when it comes to movies, and there are plenty of examples that movies are long, but they are bad with storytelling. You don't need a movie to be long when it comes to storytelling. If you can have the scenes with good actors, with good storytelling, it can be an amazing movie. For example, I'm not to give credit to the movie, but the Titanic 666 movie. It was extremely long, but the story was trash. It didn't
Oh,
go anywhere. So
we don't want to get mentioned the Titanic.
nah, no, no. So
Everyone roasts the movie so
yeah,
much. It's
yeah. So
definitely
again, a movie doesn't need to be good. Or I mean, a movie doesn't have to be long for it to be good. That's the words I'm searching for. So I'm extremely hyped. Even if this was 3 minutes, but with a story that touches you, I would
Mhm.
have watched it millions of times.
Oh, I mean, I would be the same really, but I'm really keen to know the difference between to compare to Fred in like in
Mm,
that the short movie, and then Fred in the Titanic movie, and then in the Night to Remember movie.
mm-hmm,
'Cause I know in both films, Night to Remember and James Cameron's film,
mm-hmm,
Frederick Fleet only appears in like a few minutes, and it,
mm,
it just feels like okay, there's that. They have like their 2 3 minutes of fame. Over, move it to the next person. He's
yeah,
done, finished. That's it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's what happened with most of the survivors, really. Either because they want to focus on the testimony, or because they want to focus on the fictional protagonists like Jack and Rose.
Mm,
So the other ones, like, yeah, they're not important. They don't need to know. But this movie with Fred, it just wants to go deeper into that, and that's so good because it brings so much justice.
yeah. These two, they are actually the directors of Fred. Of course, this is Instagram, but be sure to follow the pages of these amazing two people, these two directors, Bjorn Franklin and Jamar Charetta. I hope I said it right. So I think this man on the right here, he's Italian. So if he's Italian, that hits home a little bit as well.
Hey!
If he is, if he is Italian, but his last name just sounds so very much like an Italian last name.
Oh, that would be so good though. It will make you very happy, won't it, Jake?
I will be proud. I will be proud. If that will be in Italian, I will be extremely proud. Um, Mr. Vet said Bernard Fox was in a 1958 movie and a 1997 movie, sorry, of the
Yes, he
Titanic.
Yes, he was. I mean, Bernard Fox, he played Frederick Fleet, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who he played in the 97 movie, but definitely not Fred,
No.
because that would have been played by a younger actor. So he might have been like an older actor. I don't know who, but I probably might need to research it at some point. But I know that there were a few people from A Night to Remember that actually played characters in the 97 movie as well. It wasn't all that common, but it was actually there really. Whether they got invited to do it or not, that's a completely different story for another
Mm.
time. But
Mm.
it's really good how they get like different actors to mix and match really. But I
Mm.
am a little bit annoyed though with the 97 movie still inaccurately portraying
Yeah.
ages. And I have to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so dedicated in talking about that, actually.
He says,
Oh,
sorry?
oh no, I think I just saw that actually. Sorry, with the blue star line said,
Yeah.
Bernard Fox played Colonel Gracie. Ah, okay, okay.
I know Blue Star Line. He has this. He has knowledge. Blue Star Line has knowledge. Thank you so
Oh,
much for joining, my friend. Thank you so much, David.
oh,
So please let us know in the chat as well. What are you most hyped for when it comes to Fred? Because I would love to see you guys' opinions. So right here on this post they made, this is actually post production. So right here they have stopped filming, and these are scenes or pictures taken of the post production of behind the scenes and stuff like that. And remember what I said with a movie doesn't have to be long to be a good story. Just look at this picture, man. The quality. The quality. Man, it gets me hyped every time when I see this picture.
oh, I mean, it definitely shows that it's there, and that's really right as well because the lookouts they would have worn uniforms like that,
Mm,
especially with like the hats and the design, so they did get it accurate. I'm
indeed.
not really too sure about Reginald Lee just behind really, but because he's a bit out of focus, you can't really tell if he's wearing something different or if he's wearing like the same costume. But with Frederick's one, that is 100% accurate, really. So that is a huge well done to the costume department.
And maybe what I think as well is that with Reginald Lee, because there's another picture which I will show you shortly, but with Reginald Lee and the hat that Frederick is wearing, I think it's to distinguish who is Frederick Fleet.
Mm,
Because if they would wear the same hats, people would think, yeah, but who is actually Frederick?
that's true. Yeah.
So I think it's kind of to distinguish who is actually Frederick. But we shall see.
Oh, DK says, I like to see how the sinking in the movie played out, possibly similar to the newer series. That's a good point, actually, DK.
Mm,
That's a really good point because
mm,
we have been talking about theories in my Discord lately, and we've been talking about how there are different theories to the sinking, or some people have been looking at a few testimonies
yeah.
and just believing what they think what could have happened because most of the theories they want to base on are from the eyewitness accounts from the people who were actually there.
Mm,
So regarding what the theories are, we might never know the truth, but it's really good to have that kind of speculation and just to see what happened and how it happened.
yeah.
But that'll be a really good thing, even though it's 5 minutes long, especially with the sinking scenes as well. It would be quite interesting to see through because I can imagine really that they must have looked at Fred's testimonies as well. So I definitely
Hmm.
probably think somewhere there could be a new theory just creeping in, but I don't really know for sure. But it
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
a good point. That's a good point, DK.
What Gina said when it comes like the scenes we will actually see. The movie has scenes from the crow's nest, of course, Frederick's bedroom, the back garden, and the inquiry room.
Yes.
So maybe we will get some flashback whilst Frederick is in the inquiry room talking about the sinking of the ship. Maybe there we shall get some shots of
Oh,
the
yeah.
lovely Titanic sinking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it does look a bit haunting, but
Mm,
I'm actually quite curious though which theories of the sinking they're going to use because there's so many billions of theories about how the
mm,
Titanic broke up. So I'm like kind of wondering which theory they might use or
mm,
if they're just going to base it on the testimony. I don't know. But there's one thing, and I know it's a different topic, but there's one thing on the Instagram page that I absolutely loved,
mm.
and it's that haunting image of the Titanic life jacket on a washing
Oh,
line
I can
outside
show you. I can
the house.
show them. I can show them.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at that picture, I thought, "Oh my God,"
There
because
you go, guys. This is the picture.
oh, I mean, it still absolutely gets me every single time
Yeah,
because it just feels like what are the words I'm looking for? It's so haunting because it makes you realize that even though everyone on the Instagram page for Fred the film asks, "What does this remind you of?" I
yeah,
have to think it's shows some signs of like trauma, doubt, fear, that sort of thing. But it was so funny though because everyone in the comments actually said to me, well, not to me, but they said in the Instagram page something different, like it's kind of like a meme or
yeah.
stuff really, but it wasn't like that at all, and I thought that there were some people who were missing the point.
But I think that that's something you always have with when it comes to this, because we, of course, we are historians, we are enthusiasts, we know what this is about, we get the points, and of course, there are people like who are newly getting to the Titanic, who basically don't even know who William Murdoch is, who's Thomas Andrews. So I think with this movie, it will also be a very good movie to bring new Titanic fans and new fans to the ocean liner community. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
this movie will do that very well.
Oh
I
yeah.
really do. I've been saying this in Francis Discord so many times, but on my own as well. I am so behind this project. I back it 1,000%. If there are scenes that won't be as good as the other ones, I will be like, no worry, guys. It's still an amazing movie. I will protect this to the very end.
I mean, it's such a good film to actually protect, really. And then there are
Yeah,
so many like stuff out there because I don't think with just Fred there will be more films of the Titanic out there. But
100%.
yeah, but I think Fred is like the first Titanic project I've seen since like the ITV series back for like the centenary anniversary. That was written by
Mm,
like Downton Abbey, and there have been like some very good ones since
mm,
then. But there haven't been some really good ones. But I was actually quite surprised with that gap because it between the two of them, it was an 11-year gap, and I think it wasn't as long as the 1958 movie and the 97 movie, like Night to Remember and Titanic,
mm,
that had a long period, about nearly 40, 50 years at the time. And I think that there was just some people who weren't interested in Titanic. But
mm.
I think since we're getting more of a fan base out there, and this is so funny though, because when I went to Belfast nearly 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
and I was actually like in the museum and I actually saw Titanic slipway and it
yeah,
oh gorgeous. I got pictures of it up on Instagram myself. But
really.
yeah, it's so lovely. But the most funny thing is that when I went on the tour, there's apparently a fan base name for fans of Titanic, and it's Titanic Axe, I think.
Titaniacs. Lovely. Guys, we are now known as the Titaniacs.
That's it's so funny though. Or I think it was yeah, it was Titaniacs actually. I thought it said Titaniasts, but
Yeah,
Titaniacs is so much better to be fair.
yeah, yeah.
But it's just so lovely to see that with like a new generation that's coming forward, and
Mm,
you just leave speechless about it really, and there will be something more to talk about, and then also you got an all-star cast,
mm,
especially one who is a well-known actor as well. And yeah, it just feels like with everything together, and if it's very interesting and eye-catching, we could have more Titaniacs out there.
mm, 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 mm. I actually have a picture right here of the scene, of one of the scenes. This is the Cruel's Nest.
Yeah.
But there's something very interesting, and maybe you can help me with this, Francis, because you have way more knowledge when it comes to Titanic than I do.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see in the picture, but on the bell it says RMS Titanic 1912.
Yes.
Did the
Yeah.
actual Titanic have that as well? Like
I
the engraving?
Well, they did have the bell, but I'm not too sure if they had the inscription. That's the inscription thing's new, but they did have the bell
Yeah.
because it was when the iceberg was spotted, Frederick would had to go ding 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 with the
Hmm.
bell, and the sound of the bell would be delivered to the telephone on the bridge,
Hmm.
and then there would be like a little telephone that would have like a little connection from the crow's nest to the bridge, and that's kind of like what happened.
Mm.
And if you see like sinking animations like Titanic Honor and Glory and Part-Time Explorer, then you would hear every time the bell, and that's always from the crow's nest. Now, I don't know if the bell actually exists on dry land because there have been a few Titanic exhibitions and some of them were traveling, but I
Mm.
don't know if the bell was one of them. But unfortunately, and very, very sadly, the crow's nest is completely gone from the wreck. It's
Yeah.
not there anymore. And last time I heard, when it got destroyed, there was when a submarine bumped into the Titanic back in 2019.
Oh yeah.
And that was when it disappeared, but I can't really say or don't know for sure, really. So I definitely think I will go into that a little bit
Mm.
more. But it's just so tragic that iconic crow's nest is gone, and don't think it's really. It won't take a while before the Titanic is completely gone because the
Mm.
bacteria is eating up the wreck. But whether the crow's nest was actually eaten up by the wreck not long after the submarine bumped into it, who really knows?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have here another picture of the older Fred who will appear in the short movie. And again, this just depicts so well, like an old, grieving, still trying to comprehend the Titanic disaster. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can really see it in the facial expressions. But I
Mhm.
think from what I can see, this is just another speculation. I think from what I understand, that's probably after Eva's funeral that took place, really, because you can see like the attire. So you
Might
can see,
very well be. Yeah.
oh yeah, the black suit,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and you can see like everything there with the facial expressions. It's kind of like a sense of loss, and it's a kind of sense of grieving. And then when the grief was there, that's when things are like took over. And you can see in the illustrations as well, the early designs, that suit is still there, but it gets changed from like an overcoat and a cap to basically what like older men would wear in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
All you could see in the illustrations, they're either faded colors or black colors.
Mm-hmm.
And usually from what I'd see in a like an actor's point of view, I did a bit of acting as well in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and what I always see when it comes to between the differences between like portrayal and feelings, sometimes clothes represent the feelings that a character goes through. And I think from what I can see in the clothes, it's still the same as the facial expressions because it all blends together.
Mm. You said it perfectly. My God. I knew you were the right one to pick up for this. I was like, this. She has experience.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. But I always think really, I always learn something new every
Mm.
single day, really. So I just think if you do understand things, then you'll probably can understand like the sense thing. And then until we know for sure, again, it's just speculation because
Yeah. Yeah.
we know until it actually comes out.
Yeah. 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 This is very exciting. This is one of the most exciting pictures I've seen. This on the bottom, this was a early concept art of one of the scenes we might expect, and this is a scene, as you can clearly see, which what we will expect in a documentary or short movie. This is during the investigation of how the Titanic sank.
Yeah, that's definitely the British Inquiry. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can clearly see Frederick is maybe a little bit nervous, of course, touching his flag cap like on the bottom right here.
Mm.
And this man, we know him. This man right here. Oh, why am I forgetting his name each and every time? He played with Tom Hanks in the Greyhound movie.
Yeah, I definitely recognise his face. He is well known.
He is a
But then,
well-known actor.
oh yeah, definitely a well-known actor. And I think the actress who played Eva, I
Mm,
definitely think she was either in the British soap opera, either Coronation Street or EastEnders or
mhm,
Emmerdale. I can't remember, but I know she was in a very famous British soap opera. Yeah,
mhm,
British soap opera. So it's got a really good cast. I don't know who like the actor who's playing Philip, but it's you can see it's such a good cast and it's good
mhm.
casting choices as well. So I don't really know but from what I can see, like in the pictures and all that, the tension is there, and I think they really wanted to make a point of that. So I don't really know if the actors ever did some research at all before filming. But of course, if they didn't know about the Titanic before, they had to, or if
Mhm.
they do, they still had to anyway, because that's the only choice you get to have to understand the characters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As well as with the quality of the scene right here. They are
Hmm.
using a proper camera. It all if you didn't know that this was a short movie, you wouldn't tell that it actually is. I mean, of the quality of the camera, of the scene, of the room.
Mm.
But I think they got some inspiration for this scene because you said when it comes to research. Um, have you seen Francis the movie um, Saving Titanic with Fred Barrett?
Yes, I did actually. Saving Titanic with like Frederick Barrett. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
I.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
I think they got inspiration from this room right here.
yeah.
But
I could.
this is the Inquirer scene with Fred Barrett as well.
Mm.
And I don't know if you see it as well, but you can see the similarities between this one and this one.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely see the point there. Yeah, because the fading of the light, it's kind of like a background shadow, I
Yeah.
think. So, and also there's a different resemblance there because you can only see the character points that are the focus, but the darkness in the background with only light, it represents the darkness and it
Hmm.
represents the depression or the guilty feeling is just creeping slowly up behind you, and
Hmm.
definitely something that reflects well in both scenes because
Hmm.
there are some of the men actually do regret surviving, and
Yeah.
I mean, you could see that in like some stuff, and you've got to think, men were seen as cowards if they didn't really give up seats or lifeboats for women and children at sea, really. So, if things like that ever happened, it's always the men that are responsible.
Hmm. Which is quite sad. Of course, that was at the time that was the right thing to do. But if you would do it at this time, it would be a completely different story.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was all about etiquette,
Yeah,
and it was all about like what a man's place is, even a woman's place that is as well. Because sometimes when you got to think of the olden days before Titanic,
hmm.
there a woman was blamed for either having a job just like a man, not doing the cooking and
Hmm.
cleaning, or not having any children at all, and they always get like the fault for that. And then with the men, it's the fault of not being manly enough.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because appearance and etiquette was everything back in
yeah.
1912, and it anyone who disregarded that really was seen as an outcast, and sometimes family would disown them and sometimes friends will disown them, sometimes it's just that, and Frederick probably might have that happened after the disaster as well, because it might
Mm-hmm.
be one of those things. And of course, really, you don't know what happened, but we do know that he got into lifeboat number 6 with Molly Brown,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of like have to see through that. Really it's really interesting to see like what happened there, because he was probably ordered in. I can't remember which side he was on when the Titanic was sinking, lifeboat number 6, if it was on the portal starboard side, but it's likely the one that where Charles Lightoller wasn't in. But Frederick somehow must have felt guilty that he had survived like so many others.
Mm-hmm. Historic mammals in the chat. Have I missed a lot? No mammals. We're just geeking out about this amazing project, which is coming towards us. I hope so very soon, because I'm like every time I see a picture, I'm like clenched of when are we actually going to see the product.
But don't worry, mammals, you haven't missed anything. But I always say in like the live streams, you are never late, everyone else is simply early.
That's true. That's true. To answer your question, Francis, when it comes to what Reginald Lee is wearing, this is a other concept art.
Right.
So, of course, as we can clearly see, this is Frederick, and this is Reginald Lee. So he's wearing something completely different than Frederick himself.
Oh yeah, definitely something a bit different there, because you could tell who is who there, and you can see like the darker and the motion there, because you've got to think now with the lighting. I know you had loads of lighting back on the ship, but in the crow's nest you wouldn't have like the light really.
Mm-hmm.
I think for special effects, really, for everyone, it's for everyone to be able to see. You must have had like back in the reality, because you've got to think on the day that the Titanic hit the iceberg, well, on the night, it was a moonless night, and there was no stars, and it was dark. So I don't know how they actually must have got light up there, whether it was a lamp and all of that, but I don't really know. But I think with the effects, you can really see about or what they are up to and what they are doing, but you can't really tell really what the reality bit of is, because who knows really, because they would have not been able to see almost nothing, and that could be the reason why the iceberg wasn't spotted sooner. Even with binoculars, it will be the same story.
True. And with this scene, because with the concept art, you can see the white glowiness. And in the concept art, you can see like the face of horror of Fred, which I hope that this will be seen. I don't know for sure, and I don't know if it will actually happen, but I do hope that when the iceberg is spotted, we actually get to see a look of horror, like absolute horror in the face of Frederick, and then we get like the camera turns around and you see the iceberg like popping out of the darkness. And the music is like bah.
And then you got words, iceberg right ahead.
Yeah. I hope that will happen. I'm not sure it will, but I really do hope so.
But if it did actually, I can imagine with like the fast like echo or like the fading like iceberg right ahead.
Make it ghostly.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool, man. Oh, the ideas. Why is this movie just 5 minutes?
You could make it like a 10-minute one or something,
Yeah.
but if it's just a 5-minute one, then fair enough, because they want to make it as long as it can be, really. But I think if it was a 10-minute one, they could have like gone into a little bit of depth of that, really. So from what you could see with like from what you can see in the flashback when Frederick in the Kickstarter trailer looks back at the Titanic before screaming in the lifeboat, be like a haunt ghost feeling. It could be the same thing.
And with this is one of the final pictures that they actually showed when it comes to the concept art, at least. And this is like the pure depressed state that Fred is in. And I think this must be after the death of Eva.
Yeah. Well, I could probably see as well. It could be after Philip must have got Frederick evicted, and I think
Mm,
that's before probably he might because as we all know really that Frederick actually went into the back garden and he hanged himself through a tree. So
mm,
that could be beforehand really, but they don't show the hanging. But who knows really? It could be that the case, it could be not. I don't know for sure.
yeah. Because what you said as well, with people felt or men felt ashamed that they actually survived the sinking.
Mm.
Um, I can't think or believe what bad words Frederick must have been hearing when he survived. Like, maybe after the inquiry, people heard that he was actually the lookout on the Titanic. Maybe
Oh
there were
yeah.
like people like, you were the lookout. How didn't you see the iceberg? How didn't you see it sooner? You let our loved ones die. How dare you, murderer?
Yeah, but there was one documentary. Well, I mean, it could be dramatic as that, but there's
Mm-hmm.
one evidence in a documentary that was released in 2012 by BBC Southwest, and they
Mm-hmm.
were focusing on Southampton for the 100th anniversary. And later in life, this is what I've learned and believe.
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Fleet worked with a newspaper, a local newspaper company, and he was a newspaper man.
Mm-hmm.
And after the Titanic disaster, he didn't really want to do with shipping anymore. So he handed out newspapers. And then before Eva died, he would see, while he was in the, holding out the newspapers, he would see some young lads shouting, "Have you seen an iceberg today, Fred?" And that,
Oh no.
yeah, and that was kind of like a thing, but like, oh, okay, they mentioned about that. I'm feeling guilty again. And then the PTSD would have kicked in.
Yeah.
You can imagine with that really. But having someone shouting like, "Have you seen an iceberg today?"
It's
It's
cruel. It's
all
cruel.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
cruel.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was like probably if it was just like young ones who would have been taught that, okay, this person survived, let's name and shame him, or if it's just some people out of interest, and since they're young, like lads or something, some young boys would just pick on people for the sake of having fun. You just don't
Yeah.
know really in
And
that
all,
section.
and how many times has it happened with disasters? When a disaster happens, people need somebody. People need someone to blame. They need somebody to blame and release their cruel anger on them. So
Yeah.
yeah. Basically, also I found the names of the actors who's actually gonna play in series.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually, I believe, a Max Beasley.
Max Beasley. Okay.
So he's known for Shameless, Looking for Eric, and 321. I've seen Shameless.
All right.
I've seen Shameless, and he then will be senior playing or senior Frederick Fleet.
Oh
So
yeah.
he will be there.
Oh yeah. That's definitely. He looks recognizable to me. I've never seen
Yeah,
the show he was in, but he does. His face does look. He looks.
familiar.
Yeah. 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 That's it.
And of course, this face right here, Tom Brittney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, like I said, he played the first officer, I believe, in the or first watchman in the movie with Tom Hanks. So he has played with some big names. So he will be playing Frederick around 1912, and he's known
Mm-hmm.
for Grantchester, Make Me Famous, Unreal, and of course Greyhound. And this will be Dorothy, this daughter of Fred, played by Deborah Stepson. I hope I said the name correctly.
Oh yeah. 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 Oh wait,
Yeah.
did Fred have a daughter?
Yeah.
Like, I did not know that.
No, I felt we read it before. It was
I was Dorothy. I thought that was Eva, not Dorothy. I didn't know he had a daughter.
no
Oh,
no
okay.
no
News
wait
to me.
no yeah
News.
wait now I need blah blah blah. We're on the Titanic, PTSD.
Gosh. Oh, wow. I mean, that's definitely news to me. I definitely need to look at that because when I was
Yeah,
going
with
into
his daughter here, pushing these thoughts to the back of his mind, Fred makes a last attempt to rekindle an estranged relationship with his daughter, Dorothy.
Right. I mean, I must have missed that really, but it sounds like really that even though Eva died,
Mm-hmm.
I think something might have gone there between Dorothy and Frederick. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
something could have happened, or it could be explained, or it could not be explained, or you can tell like what's happening, especially if it's a 5-minute long film.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Who really knows?
So, guys in chat, what do you think of this amazing documentary? What are you guys' thoughts? I will get popcorn like crazy.
Well, I
Like
definitely.
when this releases, I will be sitting back, my feet on the sofa, a whiskey by my side, and oh.
Oh,
By the
but
way, I can drink legal. Just.
well, I could drink legal too. Really, I'm a full grown adult. I'm older than you, Jamie. Oh, dear.
These are also some other pieces of concept art in the short movie. I hope we will see this scene right here
Mhm.
because this depicts, in my opinion, this depicts PTSD so well.
Mhm.
Like him waking up and seeing like a ghostly version of himself. Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That definitely makes a lot of sense, really. It's like the dramatic thing. But I
mhm.
wonder if it's gonna happen at the end of the movie.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Mm.
I actually have this one right here. I have this painting in my room.
Really? No way!
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
What I remember, what Miss Gina told me when we were talking, is that this will be, or hopefully this will be a scene. But of course, we didn't see any pictures of the scene. But maybe, oh, I hope it will. Um, but what she told me with this scene is that basically Fred is walking down the streets, and as you can see clearly, there are fireworks going off around him.
Oh, yeah, like, definitely with fireworks. I mean, there are some cases in, like, the story of the Titanic with PTSD,
Mm,
there are, like, different sound noises that remind them of the people in the water that
yeah.
died of because a lot of people think in the Atlantic Ocean, the people who died in the water, died by drowning. No, it was ice burn,
Mm-hmm.
and the screams were so deafening, and they lasted probably as long as like 30 to 40 minutes, according to some Fiverr
Mm-hmm.
witness accounts. So, eyewitness accounts, that was the right word. And they actually, each different sound reminded them of the sounds of people drowning, which triggered the PTSD. So
Mm-hmm.
with Fred, it's probably with the fireworks, which could have been true. And then for other cases as well. One eyewitness account said that in America they lived right near the baseball stadium, and every time someone hit the home run and when people were screaming, that will trigger him the mind of the sound of the people in the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's just so sad, really, when you think about it. Really, it just
Mm,
makes your heart break so much.
mm.
Oh.
And as
But
well, this is a picture of Fred in his later years, and this is actually Fred himself. And this looks so much like the actor himself.
so
Yeah,
that's the one that was probably taken probably around the same time. Oh, yeah, 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 I seen it now because I did see, like, the picture comparisons between the 2 because I used them both when I did the video, reaction to the Kickstarter trailer,
yeah.
and, it does look like it was taken when back in the '60s around the same time,
Mm-hmm.
like, the tragic events took place, really, but oh my gosh, it's just so tragic, really, because you can see in the face there in the actual picture, he's kind of sad and he was never the same, hardly a smile. And when you look at like the Fred in the early picture of him when he
Yeah.
was 24, it's sort of like it was a smile but was shocked. But in the older picture, you could see that the face was completely gone and it's just nothing but sorrow.
Mm,
And I think from what I can see between the comparisons of the two, he was never the same again after the disaster, but never probably would never have smiled or anything unless he was with Eva or with Dorothy before their relationship was
Yeah.
strained. Who really knows? Who knows?
As well with the tragedy, because this was the last ever um, letter that he wrote to his daughter, um,
Right.
where it says, "My dear Dorothy, I am sorry what I am going to do. I can't stick it any longer. Tonight I am hanging myself. Now, the stuff in the bedroom is your two cases, clock, carpet, the carrier, by the clothes post outside, the lamp on the floor and wiring. I don't know whether it belongs to me or Phil. You must ask him. The bedclothes, you please. Bedclothes, please yourself. If you want them, don't forget the small case, also the chamber. I don't know about the bed. I'm not interesting myself about it. I hope to be dead. Well, my dear, this is goodbye. Love to all from your broken-hearted father. What an end. Another Titanic man gone." This
Oh,
is so real. Another Titanic man gone.
oh, that mean that those words are so haunting because I think from what you can hear, like from what so you can actually like read or hear from someone else from Fred's letter.
Yeah.
Wow, this is something that a man actually got through and actually could break down. And he's just like, okay, I've tried my best, I've tried to do everything, but it's clear no one wants me anymore, or I don't want anything to do with this life. I'm decided what I'm going to do. And
Mm,
like, this is your stuff because it's yours. And it's just like instead of a last will and testament, he was just like, here, this is your stuff to keep.
yeah.
And I think when the Titanic man gone, that Dorothy must have realised that she must have known about the Titanic then, and the strategy
Yeah.
would have been like this, like the stereotypical bits and all of that, and I don't know. I mean, it's just something that since it could be the Australian, it may could have been he survived like the disaster, or she never told him, or who knows? Who really knows? But it just you can see it's a broken-hearted man who tried to make a restart of his life despite his PTSD, and because PTSD, sometimes when people have PTSD, they can like do things that they weren't themselves before. So there's one case, for example where PTSD, anyone who suffers from that, they don't smile or laugh. That
Mm,
sometimes they could be sad, or sometimes they have bursts of anger for no reason or for like some reason, and some things can trigger like that. And I'm wondering if it was something like that that was linked to the PTSD that made the relationship strained.
yeah. And also what it says right here, take my body to the hospital to do what they like with it. Like the complete lack of self-regard.
Mm,
Like it's already in my head what I'm about to do. What comes after, I don't care because I will be gone. I mean,
mm.
ah, yeah.
It's so devastating, especially when you think because he's like, "Okay, let them do an autopsy on me. I don't
Hmm.
care what it is anymore. Just get it over and done with, really.
Yeah.
That's with it, really. My life is pointless and it has no meaning anymore." That's what he was trying to reflect it into that story, and it's almost
Mm,
like you feel sorry for him and you want to feel sorry for him, but whatever happened in the response to the letter really, and what emotions that few people have felt, especially with Dorothy losing her mother and then suddenly losing her
oh,
father while the strain was there, you don't know
mm,
what her reactions are going to be, and it could be a sense of like, "Oh, I don't care anymore," or "No, no, no, I don't want him to go. Why is he doing that?" That sort of
mm,
thing really, because there are many of things that I think could go on in the head really, and a child to either lose a parent really because of PTSD or something like that, and he was trying to do his
tragic.
best. Yeah, it's tragic, and there's a misunderstanding that has must have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
This is the last post that the people did on Fred, and this is also the post that you also were talking about the live bells.
Mm.
I wonder who this is. A haunting reminder of the events that happened. I wonder. No, but yeah. that's the last post that they did for now on their Instagram page. But I think they're saving the trailer to post next. Like, the best is yet to come.
Oh yeah, that's the one with the illustration, based on the illustration with the
Yeah,
life. And
indeed. Yes, yes,
oh,
yes, yes.
I still can't believe how haunting that is. Really. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so tragic. Really is tragic, and and I've never seen anything so haunting. And since I looked at that the last time before I went to Belfast, my mind wasn't completely the same,
Mm,
especially when I went around, like, the museums. I actually, when I heard, like, some of things like "Nearer My God to Thee" and, know about the sinking, I swear I felt, like, emotions like crying, I felt
yeah.
nauseous, and I
Yeah.
never felt like that before, and I think
Yeah.
picture had something to do with it, and it was implanted in my head. And it was so funny though, because when I did the Night to Remember event, because at the Titanic Museum they do a yearly event which
Mm-hmm.
is named after the book by Walter Lord, and they do like a character interaction based on eyewitness accounts. And in one section there was two actors who played Molly Brown and Frederick Fleet,
Mm-hmm.
who there, and they were explained about their experiences mainly during the inquiries, because Molly, from what I understand, I don't know if she actually spoke in the American inquiry, but so
Mm-hmm.
she actually showed her thoughts and feelings. But because these two were in the same lifeboat together, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But Frederick actually talks about what his experiences were, but I don't know if he mentioned it in the inquiry or not. But both of them blamed David Blair, and
Yeah.
they said it was his fault for the binoculars. And just when I was just about to walk away after the actors had finished, and I didn't realise until someone pointed it out, that standing right next to the actor who played Frederick Fleet, there was the keys that David Blair took for the binoculars case, and they are
No.
displayed now. That was just so haunting, and my
Wow.
down my spine, and I thought, oh my god.
What a way to end to end something.
Oh no, it
Wow.
was just so haunting, and you just think, "Oh my god, that's just actually." And I never saw the keys for the first time that I went around the museum the day
Yeah.
before, and then and when I looked at them and I took pictures of them, and I've got like the keys. I think I've got the picture of the keys on my Instagram page
Mm-hmm.
as well. But it's just so haunting to think that they were there, and I just thought one set of keys could have made a difference, and
Yeah.
things might not have happened in the first place, but you
Yeah.
just never know.
Yeah. So that is basically it, guys. So we've been almost running for an entire hour.
That's crazy that it was only an hour. It feels like it hasn't been an hour. It feels like
No,
it's
no, no. Indeed, it has.
so quick.
Indeed, it hasn't. So, Francis, final predictions, final thoughts on what is about to come, please.
Well, final thoughts and predictions. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that, I know with historic films based on real life, not everything is going to be accurate. But in a historic point of view, if it's accurate as possible, I would be good. But then I would love to do a bit more research into it when it's over, and I think I will be reacting to the full trailer when it comes out,
Mm,
because I definitely 100% want to do that.
mm-hmm.
And I'm just hoping that it will give Frederick's story more justice really than it did before, really, because
Mm-hmm.
I think with the Kickstart trailer, even though it's showed a little bit more stuff, hopefully with the full trailer, it could bring more stuff and
Yeah.
bring more bits to learn. So I've definitely got high hopes for it. And if they could deliver and promise for what they did with the Kickstarter, that would be so fantastic. And it will just bring Frederick's story to life in a way that is supposed to be told.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I hope that this will set in motion a new way of content when it comes to the Titanic. Of course, the ship is lovely to see each and every time, and nobody can debate that. But
Mm,
at the end, we know the ship itself. We need to focus more on the people who are like inside the beast, inside the belly of the beast. Who, for example, Frederick. And I hope that this will set a revolution when it comes to like new Titanic kinds of content. Like make a mini series basically about the crew of the bridge, or make a longer version of Frederick, or Harold Bright, stuff like that.
Oh
But I
yeah.
think this will be an amazing experience for all of us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and I know so many people have done that, but there's one other thing that I do recommend,
Hmm.
and even though it's not a short film like, Fred, um, the one thing I can recommend is The Last Signals, and that's a
Mm.
really good one because it talked about Harold Bride's story of what happened in his own point of view based on the newspaper story,
Hmm.
and, it was so, so good, really, but there's so many Titanic, series and films that are out there to watch and to give people feedback to see how it all works out and how everything just plays out for itself really. And
Mm.
I definitely think that these documentaries and films, these came the inspiration for my ones as well, with the ones I did recently about the musicians. And
Mm.
I think it's really, really good to see there are more bits that are coming out there. And the more things are out there, just like Fred, the better that people will understand the
Indeed.
story. And it's got high hopes and potential for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Francis, I really want to thank you for having joined me in this lovely stream. This couldn't have been done without you.
Oh, bless you, Jamie. But it was an absolute pleasure to be with you to
Thank
talk today.
you. Thank you very
It's
much.
who I should really, really thank. So thank you so much. You did such a good job with
Ah,
that.
thank you. Guys, also thank you very much in the chat. Thank you all guys who have been listening to us. 6 people. Thank you all so very much for sticking around. Be sure to check out Francis, her channel, History Inside a Nutshell. Like she said earlier, she has made a series about the musicians of the Titanic, and it's really a must watch. You really must give it a watch because it's an amazing video.
Oh, thanks, Jamie.
So, guys, if you also have any friends who like ocean liners or ships, please show them both our channels. That would help out extremely much. And yeah, let's keep dreaming about Fred. My
Oh,
friends,
yeah.
have all a good night or day wherever you are. And we will see each other on the next live stream and next video. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye bye.